Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Celeste. Welcome back to my channel. I realize I never say my name. Hi. The Urban Dictionary, we're going straight in. The Urban Dictionary defines a reading slump as not being able to pick up a book and read because you just can't. You just can't read. An example conversation of this might be if person one said, "What's the matter with ya?" Person B would say, "I can't read. No book is good enough. Leave me alone." Reading slump. To which person A would say, okay. Bye multi-fandom trash. Thank you for your contribution. I just want to talk about reading slumps today, and I thought it was important to first define the word so we're all on the same page. If you look up reading slump on BookTube or on YouTube, you will find the same narrative most of the time, and that would be how to get over a reading slump, how to anticipate a reading slump, how to, like 10 ways to get over a reading slump, beat the reading slump, 10 books that beat my reading slump, blah, blah, blah. And though those are valid, I just want to take up a little bit of space here to take a different approach to reading slumps. And that is, should you find yourself anticipating a reading slump, in a reading slump, or anything else, enjoy every second of it. Reading for me, and maybe for you, is a hobby. And Though I think sometimes approaching hobbies as something that needs to be done can be interesting depending on what your goal is, I do think there is something to be said about constantly attaching the concept of productivity and achieving something to a hobby. Sometimes, so I firmly believe that the human mind is meant to experience a wide variety of things. And so when you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over, without taking the time to include trying different things, I don't know if it's a good thing. So here's the deal. In December, early December, I finished reading The Girl with Seven Names by Hyun-Seo Lee, book review coming up. And I put down my last book until early March, where I picked up Still Aside by Simon Jones. And 3 months of not reading could be considered by many as a reading slump, but I don't think so, because I didn't necessarily put down the book because I didn't want to read, or I wanted to not read, but not because I couldn't read anymore, you know? Christmas was coming up and it was just time to try out some recipes, you know, for the Christmas meal. And cooking is fun, baking is fun, trying out different recipes is a lot of fun. But also, and here's something we don't talk about on BookTube enough, at least not that I've seen, reading is such a sitting hobby. Like there's only so much sitting you can do in one day, especially if you have a desk job or anything, or if you have a really long commute in the train or in the car. Yeah, there's only so much sitting you can do. I'm not one to go out with earphones and an audiobook because A, if I'm in nature, I want to be in nature, okay? And B, if I'm in the city or something, I want to be able to hear if there's a car barreling towards me. So you'll never find me with earphones in. So what do you do once you are in a reading, I'm going to put big fat quotes around it, slump? Well, I think a reading slump, or making the decision to put one hobby aside for a little while, is your brain's way of saying, I need variety. I think the human brain craves variety. There is something to be said, like I said, about having a structure, but I think any solid structure allows for variety. What I mean by that is that I think it's good sometimes to put down certain hobbies, do something else, and then come back for it later. You know, like I said, I do stop reading for a little bit, go back to it, etc. or just slow down your reading or whatever the case may be. So personally, if you need ideas, here's some things I did more of during my reading slump. I did a lot more Sudoku. I love Sudoku. I've been doing a lot more Scrabble. Okay, now I am one to be humble most of the time, but let me allow myself to say this one thing. I will whoop your butt at Scrabble, big time, and that is a Celeste guarantee. Okay, humility back on. I want to show you my drawings. So these are not recent drawings. If you've been following, so I've been doing a Lost project, a Lost watch along where Michael K. Vaughan, MJ from Reading This Life, Book Songs and Other Magic, and Book Blather and I watch the series of Lost, and we get together every Sunday. So all that to say, if you watch that, if you don't, you should totally check it out. But I've been recently getting back into drawing. So the drawings I do on the Lost show are butt ugly because I kind of doodle something while I'm watching the show as I'm taking notes, you know? So I'm not taking the time, but I really kind of, reignited my love for actually drawing. So, and I have a couple of drawing ideas that I'm going to do, but let me show you the drawings I used to do, because when I was a teenager, I used to draw like better. Okay, all right, I have a little file thing where I have some old drawings and whatnot. Here's the first one. This is just a tutorial. Like, this is purely, I just copied the tutorial, no creativity there. Here's where it gets interesting. So I used to trace like the faces, and then I'd fill it in with the shadows and shapes and everything. Look, dude, I used to be good at drawing. What the heck is going on? Oh, and this is Elvis. I thought Bob Marley was better. I did a great job with this blunt. And I had to do Axl Rose and John Lennon. Yeah. And then I have just like magazine excerpts and whatnot. And then most recently, this is that's way back when I was a teenager. These are a couple years ago. So this is where I got a little free-handy, because the other ones were just tracing. This one I actually drew completely from scratch. This is my former roommate's cat. This is my ex's dog. While we were together, I don't just draw ex-boyfriend stuff. And a powerful plant. And this was such a while ago. I had hopes for BookTube, man. I thought I was gonna do a book review, and at every book review, draw like a drawing. Can you guess what this is from? All right. It's from Salem's Lot. Okay, so I read Salem's Lot back in the day, and then I decided I'm gonna draw a character or something as it's described to me as I imagine it would look. As you can imagine, this is a vampire. Dude, but okay, all that to say, this video is about reading slumps. Here's the thing, I genuinely believe that reading is the coolest thing ever. I'll link the video here. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I talked about the importance of reading and what reading means to me. And I do think it's one of the most important hobbies you can have. That being said, I genuinely believe that the greatest thing for the human mind is to experience different things. And so one of the best things you can do for yourself is to sometimes put down a hobby for another, or if you have the time, try a new hobby on top of your first one. But the reality is we only have 24 hours in a day. And the other thing is, like I sort of alluded to earlier, I don't know how healthy it is to associate a hobby with just constantly being productive and churning out those reading hours. There is power in consistency, okay? I will give you that in any aspect of your life, professional, personal, health-wise, whatever the case may be. But that being said, I also think in this world of top 10 ways to blah, 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 how to beat blah, 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 I think it's worth taking up space on the internet to say, should you find yourself being told by your own brain that it's time to stop something, move on, get back to it later, whatever. Don't fight your brain. Enjoy every second of it. Happy reading slump.